Beforehand, if somebody was to insult, I would have all sleepless nights. Now I enjoy it. Why? Because number one, with his detergent, he has washed my ego. Right? He has kept my inflated ego back to normal. Second, he has relieved me of my karma. So, in fact, I should feel that he has obliged me and I should invite him for tea or coffee. So, little change of vision and my inner state of being just changes for Dharma Dhyan. I get rid of the old karmic bonds and I do not invite the new binding karmic bonds. Very simple but very subtle science. And fourth, when I was a young kid, I had a question in my mind because my mom used to show me the stories that if you do good, you will have a good result. You will be in the USA, you will be in a big house. Of course, that picture was different, I am just telling. If you do bad, you will be in India and doing very hard job and not getting money. But I was feeling, okay, I do good, I'll have something good, but then that will not be everlasting. That's going to end. That will give me pain. And while enjoying those good or bad things, I'll not be refraining myself from doing something good or bad. Again, there will be result. So doing and suffering, seeds and effects, fruits and seeds. Will this cycle go on, or is there something beyond that? And my mind had no answer. I was trying to search the answer. I was not getting the answer. So here is the answer, that if you want to get rid of everything and want to have your own permanent bliss and inner freedom, go to fourth state of Dhyan, that is Shukla Dhyan. What is Shukla Dhyan? Is the purest of pure. Once you know your real identity, you can remain in purest of pure or Shukla Dhyan. So in fact, by the definition of Vitrag once, at no moment you can be out of this fourth Dhyan. Your choice is whether to remain in Artha or Raudra or get into Dharma. At least you can get into Dharma Dhyan from within, even without external sources of temples and other things. And if you are still wanting to go further, you can wish for the Shukla Dhyan. Do you want to ask me any questions? Because this is just a question answer. Or should I move to another topic? Please. Okay, good question. I'll answer both. See, there are two types of states of beings. One, as long as I'm Shailish, I'm name bearer and I'm doer, and I get vision, that is the step-by-step mark. So in few moments I may be remaining with pure self and Shukla Dhyan. Few moments I may be flung back to with the Prakriti, or maybe as I said about the Prasannajit Maharaja, from moment to moment he was being tossed between different states of beings because he was not permanently into the pure state of being. So that is known as, in the scriptural language, Upsham Kashay and Kshayopsam. Upsam Samkit and Kshayopsam Samkit, that's the word. Upsam means comes and goes. So your state of I is fleeting state. Comes here, goes back, comes here, goes back. That is one state. But technically, Dhyan is always where I is. So at any one given moment, I cannot be at two places. If it is in Shukla, it cannot be Raudra. Now you will ask me, okay, I am Shukla, Shuddhatma, and my mind is getting agitated, my inner self is getting agitated, what happens there? Because I am not mixed into that, because I know that it is outside me, because I know that I am knower and seer of that, it is just the object to be known and seen, it is not Dhyan. It is because my state of being is in Shukla, knower and seer, so I am in Shukla Dhyan, even though my mind is agitating. So at that time it doesn't become Dhyan unless I is dwelling into that. So at the same moment, it cannot be in both Shukla and Raudra. But in step-by-step path, it can be flitting between the two, and in stepless path where by grace you have been permanently given the pure self conviction, you cannot go into Artha or Raudra. Even though the state of mind may be like that, it is not your state, it is the state of inner self, not your state of being. I hope I am clear. Is it clear to everybody? This is a very subtle subject I am touching. But I believe that some or other day we should eye to the what's at the core part. So that's what I'm going to. Shukla Dhyan. That's what I saw. Because I am knowing and seeing. Yes. Yes. If you have that vision established within you with the help of grace of Jnani Purush, then yes, it is possible. But if I have read from the books, and if I have read somebody's experience, and if I apply that, oh, I have been like that, probably I'm getting misguided and I'm cheating myself or being cheated, something, whatever it may be. So it is, but you should be into that. Please.
The eye is going back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
It's not always in.
Yeah.
So what is that?
Yeah, that is what I'm saying, that awareness and understanding, it's interplay of three things: awareness, understanding, and our decision or purusha. Where do we stand? So it's play of three, and that's how I may be flitting here and there for most of the people, unless somebody has the grace and vision where the I unshatteredly stays in I as a pure self, as a knower and seer. That's a separate state. So shall I move here, please?
Please explain in detail, like no karma.
Yeah. That's where my next slide is going, karmic bonds. We're talking about karmas here. Should I move? And please tell me when the time is up, because this is the session, I'm not bound. This is a free session, I'm just taking few questions. So I'm free that I don't have to finish anything. 10 minutes? Whatever. So what are karmas? What do you think? What are karmas? Since childhood we have been hearing karmas, but what is karma? Yeah?
Every action is a karma.
Every action is a karma. Okay. What about my thoughts? What about my inner state of being? Are they not karmas?
It's a form of action.
Both of that.
It's a form of action.
Yeah, I understand. So, simply saying, if I simplify it, karmas are state of material or matter which is bound to my pure self or pure conscious. As I said, there are two elements, pure conscious and matter. What happens is matter outside is in a natural state, and it with its own properties of taste, smell, shape and everything. But when it comes in contact with conscious, and especially human beings, I am, and I'm nimber and I'm doer, if I have the bhav of helping somebody, atoms will be charged like that positively. If I have a bhav of slapping somebody and I make sign with it, negative atoms will be drawn in. So the state of matter, charged and discharging matter, itself is a karma. It can be from grossest to subtlest, and there are two broad divisions coming in, that is influx, being drawn in, that is known as causal karmas or bhava karma, getting in ashram, getting disposed of, gives results and goes away, that is known as fruits or uday karma or discharge or galan or whatever you say. And for further explaining, Vitrags divided these discharge karmas into subdivisions, dravya karma and no karma. Somebody was asking what is no karma. No karma means associated effects, while the dravya karmas are giving the effects or results. What are the associated effects? They can be bhai, shok, jugupsa, hasya, rati, something like that, which in itself are not binding, but they are associated effects of the discharging atoms and molecules. They are known as no karmas. Further than that, Vitrag also described as 8 types, all falling into discharge department, discharge effects. Gnanavarniya, Darshnavarniya, Mohaniya, Antaraya. 4 are covering my pure light or pure knowledge light or pure perception light, and 4 are not covering my light, but still they are there. Nam Gotra, Ayu, Shata, Ashata, Vedaniya, and Yash, Apyas, Nam Karma. This is just to explain in detail. In short, in light of my pure conscious, I was having the question. I was being asked the question. I was having the question, and when I met first time Jnani Purush in 77, he asked me directly, "Are you inviting new karmas?" He said me. I said, "Yes, I am inviting new one, and the old ones are being disposed. That's what is my understanding." Then the next question he asked me, "What do you think, Mahavir or Krishna? Would they be inviting new karmas?" I scratched my head and said, "No, they may not be inviting new karmas." Why? Mahavir was also married. He had a daughter. Krishna had done all these roles. While doing everything, why they are not inviting new karmas and why you are inviting new karmas? So I thought a further little and I said, okay, that is their discharge. Mahavir had earned Tirthankar Nam Gotra 3 births back. Now he is discharging or disposing that. So he said, okay, he is discharging Tirthankar Nam Gotra. Krishna is discharging Vasudev Nam Gotra. While discharging that, they are not inviting new, and why are you inviting new? Now I had no answer. And if I would have been having that master key, I would have been liberated long back. So that is the most subtle part he brought me to within couple of minutes. But Harish Bhai, it was power of him. It was experiential power and state of being. I have to take along. But still I feel happy. At least we are reaching there. The whole world cannot talk about this. Cannot reach to this point. What is the basis of charging of karmas? And if you happen to reach there, believe me, your experiment will be 100% success. So how the karmas are getting charged and discharged? As I say, so long as I have belief that I am name bearer and I am doer, whether I want it or whether I don't want it, knowingly or unknowingly, in awakened state or even in a sleep, I would continuously keep on inviting new karmas. And there the choice only lies between selection of lesser evil or live bad and do good by improving your vows. But if I want to get rid of inviting new bondages, I should get rid of ego. So he asked me, why are you inviting new karmas? I said, I don't know. So he said, there is only one mistake left, or should I show you that? I said, of course, please show me that. As long as you have ego, or as long as one has ego, one will invite new karmas. And I was dumbfounded. Oh, at least he's giving me the answer. Either a madman will take this responsibility, or either an enlightened one will take the responsibility. No in between like you and me. And then I came to realize, what is ego after all? I am name bearer. To believe relative as the real, where I am not really there, itself is an ego. I am Shailesh is the first ego, I am doer is the second ego. If you can get rid of these two wrong beliefs, you are free right in here and you are on the way to final liberation. So that's the basis of inviting karmas. And if I talk in terms of science, how does the perpetual soul come into bondage of the body? Somebody asked me, when the soul started getting first karmas, why he should have started getting karmas at all when it was pure? That's why intellect will ask everything. And the answer is, there are 3 strata of the universe. One is said to be Nigo, most primitive state. One is Vyavahar Rasi, where the name is given for identity, and one is Siddhakshetra. It is only in Siddhakshetra where the soul is free of other 5 elements. In Nigod also all the 6 elements are together. In Loka also all the 6 elements are together. What are the 6 elements? One is pure conscious, another is matter, third is time, 4 is space, 5th is element of motion, and 6th is element of inertia. And as the 6 are together, scientifically the things keep on coming. So soul was never free of matter even in the most primitive state. It is only when, it's only when your boy is 16, 17 or 18 that you start teaching him how to drive the car, even though car was there and he was also there. So only when my time is right, I am given the understanding what's happening, and now you choose your way. The things were there. So soul was always with matter, but the karmas name is given when I had my power. I am doer, I am name bearer, and I had the power of choice. That's where the understanding of karmas were given. And now the understanding is being given how you can get rid of everything. Right? So how does the perpetual soul come into the bondage of body? Is by this way. Body is composed of the grossest molecules. And there are 3 types of body. One is the gross body, which doctors, even to the microscopic level, is a gross body. Another is electrical body, or the aura body, or the vitality body, which can be measured by electrocardiogram, electromyogram, electroencephalogram, and it's responsible for functioning of the gross body. Third is the causal body, which cannot be seen by anybody else except by the enlightened ones, It's the most subtle atoms and molecules which I am drawing, and when I am leaving this body, it comes with me to have the next gross body according to that coding. And fourth is the pure self. Pure self doesn't get exhausted into this, doesn't get tainted, but by very presence, because of the wrong belief, because of the third extra special properties, keeps on coming with the bondage of the karmas. Having acquired right belief, starts getting rid of that. Okay? And right vision or samyak drashti, those who have little bit of abhyas of scripture, have put it here. What is wrong vision and what is right vision? Both are vision. The vision which takes me southward. Southward means what? Which leads me to clashes, which leads me to stresses, which leads me to anger, greed, pride, deceit, something, is a wrong vision. Vision which frees me from all this is the right vision. Right vision means to know who am I. That is known as the samyak drashti. How can I attain permanent bliss? I have already answered. So I think I leave this session here, and I hope it has led us to some interesting areas. Do you think it was a little heavier or no? It was? No?
Very engaging.
Very engaging? It's just worthwhile. It's worthwhile understanding.
Good subtle points that we may better understand.
No, for some few of them, it may have been little here and there, because unless the inner vision opens out, you may not be able to comprehend the things. It's with the opened out vision that I'm talking. For some who is not, but at least because the pure self is there, and that has the capacity of infinite knowing power and infinite seeing power, at least for the time being the layers go away, and you have the glimpse of that, which can lead to bhav, oh, I should know that. And even though you may forget everything of this seminar tomorrow, but believe me, during these few hours, whatever bhav has come within you, when they will get fructified, you will have your further journey ahead. Jai Sachidana.
That was a fascinating exposition into Vitrag Vignan. And I don't know if you know, but he just flew in yesterday, and he is been going full speed all day today. And I have to believe that all that energy that he gets probably comes from within, because I was just asking him after lunch that maybe if I can have a fraction of that energy, I think I would be very blessed. So moving on to our next topic, it's my pleasure to welcome back Dr. Hema Pokharna. She was a speaker at the last year's seminar as well, and she has graciously agreed to join us today. Dr. Pokharna is a non-violent communicator, trainer, coach, and consultant with years of experience in communication training for leaders and professionals and their teams. She is the director of Journeys of Life, a program to promote health, wholeness, and disease prevention. As a program director, she strives to share with others how to connect with themselves, with others, and with larger meaning or purpose in life. She was born and raised in India and received much of her religious instruction from Jain monks and nuns. She serves on the Board of Trustees of Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago, and she has served on the Board of Trustees of the Parliament of World's Religions. Believing that the diverse religions of the world are all rooted in the same spiritual ground, Dr. Hema is committed to interfaith movement as a vehicle of reconciliation between religions and a way towards world peace. Her topic is Health is Inner Peace, and she's going to cover a couple of key points, how we can take inspired action and design each moment of our life to harness peace and love, and then how we can learn to choose to make inner peace our predominant way of living in the world. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Hema Pokharna.
That's me. Namaste. I didn't hear namaste.
Namaste.
Yes.
So Namaste really means when you are in that place in you of love, of peace, of light, and of truth. And when the other person is in the same place, then when we come together, we are really one. And what I want to talk to you about is health is inner peace. And so before I begin saying anything more, I want to hear something from you, from having heard what you have heard so far. What is your understanding of inner peace? How do you know, what are the symptoms of inner peace? Have you been in inner peace? So give me a couple of symptoms. How would somebody know that you are in inner peace?
When you are happy. When you show happiness.
When you show happiness.
From
Okay.
heartily you feel that some happiness, but we cannot express it this way.
But so if you are in inner peace and how I'm looking at you, how would I know that you are in inner peace?
You can change your face.
So maybe a smile,
चलो क्या तेज हुआ है तेज से हमारा
page, okay, some kind of an aura or inner contentment. There's a sense of contentment. But how is there any outer? How would I know that you are content?
Like you are not willing of some, like suppose example, if you are not expecting to be that rich person, or you are content in your life, you are happy, satisfied with whatever you have.
Okay, you're satisfied. You're in the here and now. What else? What are the
वर्तन में भी change
Start showing in your behavior.
Vartan ma bhi, where you can see in your behavior also. Yes.
That's what. It starts showing in your behavior.
Yes, it should start showing. I guess the mic wants to say something too.
Can you come in the middle? Yeah, I said.
Okay, great. Anything else? Yes.
In any circumstances, whether it's joy or sorrow, there's tranquility inside.
Right. There's tranquility inside you, and then, in other words, that there's no reaction as such. Right? Does that make sense? So when we are reacting from a place of fight or flight. And there is a chemical release inside us in the form of adrenaline and other chemicals, right? So when we are in that form of inner peace, we are free from these reactions and we are in a state of inner peace. And it's these chemicals, it's these reactions of fight and flight that lead to diseases, physical changes in our body, including diabetes, cancer, and other diseases. Of course, there are other reasons as well, but stress is a very big contributor to diseases. So what I do through Journeys of Life is basically help people to understand the difference between reaction and response. So how do I do that is through non-violent communication, and the focus is on when there is a trigger of some sort, when there is a trigger that something happens to you in your something comes at you, you have two choices how you respond to it. Whether you respond with a reaction, and we just spoke about what a reaction looks like, right? Or a response. And how do you know that you are responding? How would you know that you are responding and not?
Positively.
But what do you mean by positively?
You agreeing what the other person says.
Okay, one way of it is that you are agreeing, or maybe you are understanding more than agreeing where they're coming from. That's one way of thinking about it.
But isn't reaction a response also? Isn't reaction also a response?
You could think it is a reaction, is a response, but I'm defining it a little differently here. Reaction is more a physiological reaction, okay, where your flight and fight responses are stimulated. Whereas response, the way I'm holding it is, the ability to respond from an inner knowing, an inner place that we've been hearing all day today. From that inner knowing, from that wisdom place. And that wisdom place is not dependent on the circumstances. No matter what comes at you, you would respond at any given circumstance instead of reacting. When we react to the circumstance. So every circumstance, every person, we would respond differently, react differently. Whereas response is very, very standardized and we know what it would look like. Is this making sense? So we usually respond from a place of inner peace. And my discovery about this was when I... Yes?
You said from inner peace, but if you have a situation which is agitated,
Yes.
then the response is not really from the inner.
When you are agitated?
Yes.
Yes. So then you are in this place of reaction. Yes, that's what I'm responding. And the difference of the two, of a response and reaction, is that of from being a Buddha to a Buddhu. Okay? That's the difference. You may become a Buddha after 2 minutes. So that makes it clear, right? Yeah. So then I was talking about my discovery about what this means is when I graduated, I came to the States in 1985 to get a PhD in biochemistry and completed my degree pretty well, successfully, and went on to get a postdoctoral fellowship at Case Western. And just which was a great thing about pride in the family, because I was one of the first PhDs, and since I come from a Rajasthani Oswal kind of a family, women are not as educated, were not as educated as they are now. And so it was a great thing to be called Dr. Pokharna and all that kind of good stuff. And within the first week, one of my colleagues, senior colleagues, said to me, "Hema, are you sure you have a PhD? You don't seem to be bright." And that was like really startling and painful in a way. And I didn't know how to respond to it. And the only way I reacted was I was just kind of internally, my physiology changed, I was frightened, and I had to just leave the room, and I went out and I simply cried for almost 3 to 4 hours. It is absolutely in this state of reaction in a way, because it was just very painful and confusing at the same time, because this person, I held him in great respect and was looking forward to a long period of association to be able to work and make a difference in the world. And so after about 4 hours, I was able to come back to his office and say to him, "May I spend a few minutes in your luminescent presence so that I may brighten myself?" So from reaction to response. And what is the difference? What changed in me during these 4 hours? Of course, it took me 4 hours. Now it takes about less than 10 minutes sometimes to be moved from Buddha to Buddha. I will conquer that ability to be a Buddha all the time. And
Hema, are you presupposing that the word trigger that you have is a negative connotation to it?
trigger means anything that comes from a
It could be positive
circumstance.
trigger also, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, both.
So
Negative
there's a
and
potential
positive.
of me being Buddha with positive reaction.
Absolutely.
Not a Buddha, right?
Absolutely.
So it is, my response is in response to the trigger, right? So how do I not respond based on my own intellect and experiences?
I'm not sure.
What I'm saying is that I already have a precondition
Yeah.
Me being me and
Yeah.
reacting in a way
Yes.
that I do react.
Yes,
psychologically.
yes.
What, if I may understand, what you're suggesting is that I do have some control over my response, whether I'm going to react or respond from outside.
Absolutely. We do have a choice at any given moment. And this is where our power lies. The ability to not react is our power, is our choice, is our ability, is our work of this inner peace and all that we have been studying so far. So for the way I understand all this is how do I shorten this time and how do I stay connected to my power at any given moment. And that's what I'm calling as a response, where I have developed an ability to respond with choice, with freedom, and not just react instinctively, not a hormone kind of a stimulated. I'm not a fan switch that circumstance can switch on and I can start moving. But I have a choice to move or not to move. That's the difference. And this means that even if it's a positive trigger, I can get very egoistic. You say to me, wow, great presentation, great presenter, whatever you say, right? And I take it to heart and I feel thrilled about it. I'm in a reactive mode. And that's what we are talking about, ego and things that are not related to the real power of the Atma, which is infinite and bliss-filled. Yes?
Is that your response could be different inward and outward?
Say more?
Like you respond in something because of fear.
Yes.
But you may not go against your boss. You're showing good response to it. You don't let him show.
Yes.
But inner, you are hurt.
Yes.
So you have two responses.
Yes.
So one is positive, one is negative.
Yes. So that we do have, as we grow up in our spiritual abilities, we do start with a reaction. And the idea that I'm suggesting is that there is this transition from a Buddha to a Buddha. And so how you manage your reaction will allow you to be at this response place. And therefore all these spiritual practices that I will talk about as well. That it doesn't happen in an instant. That it is a journey. It's a journey of life. And the final attainment is Siddhahood. And then all our five the Naukar Mantra, 5 Parmeshwaris are on the path of this, the way I understand it. They have a goal. Is that helpful? So after that I came out, we connected, I stayed in that place for almost 3 to 4 years, completed my postdoctoral fellowship, published several papers, and then my PhD now stands for psychologically healthy and delightful. So what I want you to know that what happened in those 4 hours. And what can we do to integrate all that we have heard today and what we know about what holistic science is your ability to stay connected to your pain or your pleasure at any given moment. And knowing to transcend it to a place where you know you can get eventually. Or at least you're focused and you're walking towards it. So I grew up Jain, and the basic practice as we practiced was we were vegetarians, and one of the rituals was getting up in the morning and doing the mala for the mala of 108 beads, right? Everybody, I'm sure most of you do. Who all do you practice, have this practice of mala, of chanting on the mala? Not everybody, no? So I hope by the end of the presentation, I too have some malas as gifts for you, and I would like to encourage you to start engaging in this practice, which is very exciting for me. And so what that meant to me was I did this growing up just like we brush our teeth. It was just a ritual with no kind of major understanding that I have now. But even the ritual, mechanical ability to do this helped me immensely at that moment, I think. My ability to say to myself that, Hema, I need to be non-violent, and how do I do that? So in those 4 hours, I was sitting in that kind of a confusion and contemplation as to how do I respond now? I knew that this was not the right thing that happened to me, and this is not, internally it doesn't feel like fun. So what do I do now? And so the repeated questioning, maybe from, as Shaileshji was saying about Artha Dhyan, Raudra Dhyan, and how do you go to Dharma Dhyan and Shukla Dhyan. But in that process, I think as we travel from here to here, we have some kind of an idea that there is something like Shukla Dhyan. And then you kind of find your way towards it. And the more advanced you are in your spiritual practice of some kind, you manage inch by inch, millimeter by millimeter to find your way there. And then have a response of some sorts. And for that, I would also encourage to develop that ability or that travel process is to have that ability to take nice deep breaths. And that's what I mean by inspired action. So being able to step back at any given moment, any form of a trigger that happens to you, your ability to step back. Take nice deep breaths. So let's practice for a moment. Think of a situation that triggers you easily, a common situation that comes at you. Maybe it's your child, maybe it's your husband, maybe it's the rain, maybe it's the misplaced stuff in the cabinets. Something that is chronic trigger for you. So bring that to your mind and look at it. And now take 2 steps back